the 4th of February, 1900, Volume 3, Discouragement. As I was in a state full of discouragement, especially because of the privation of my highest good, this morning, making himself seen for just a little, he told me, discouragement is an infectious humour which infects the most beautiful flowers and the most pleasant fruits, and penetrates down to the bottom of the root in such a way that by invading the whole tree, that infectious humour renders it withered and squalid. And if one does not remedy it by watering it with a contrary humour, since the bad humour has infiltrated deep into the root, it will make the root wither and the tree fall to the ground. So it happens to the soul who becomes soaked with this infectious humour of discouragement. In spite of all this, I still felt discouraged, all huddled within myself, and I saw myself as so bad that I did not dare to fling myself toward my sweet Jesus. My mind was occupied with the thought that it was useless for me to hope for his continuous visits as before, for his graces, for his charisms. Everything was over for me. And he, almost scolding me, added, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't you know that lack of confidence renders the soul moribund? Thinking that she has to die, she no longer thinks of anything, neither of gaining anything, nor of making it circulate, nor of embellishing herself more, nor of remedying her sickness. She thinks of nothing else but that everything is over for her. Ah, Lord, I imagine seeing this spectre of the lack of confidence, squalid, emaciated, fearful and all trembling, and all of his mastery, with no other ingenuity but fear alone, leads souls to the tomb. But what is more, this spectre does not show himself as an enemy, so that the soul may sneer at his fear, but he shows himself as a friend, and infiltrates so sweetly into the soul that if the soul is not attentive, seeing him as a faithful friend who agonizes with her and even dies together with her, she will hardly be able to free herself from his artificious mastery. End of the reading. The 4th of February 1911, Volume 10. Where the reunions of priests will be established, the persecutions will be milder. Continuing in my usual state, Blessed Jesus told me, "My daughter, tell Father G to solicit the reunions of priests. Tell them not to make the persecution come earlier. Woe to them. In fact, where these reunions will be established, either the persecutions will be milder or wounds will be spared. The rot is great and too stinking, and it takes iron and fire by necessity. Iron is for cutting the gangrenous flesh, and fire is for purifying. Therefore, hurry, hurry." End of the reading. The 4th of February 1919, Volume 12. The interior passion which the divinity made the humanity of Jesus suffer during the course of his whole life. Continuing in my usual state, for about 3 days, I felt I was dissolved in God. Many times good Jesus drew me inside his most holy humanity, and I swam in the immense sea of the divinity. Oh, how many things one could see! How clearly one could see all that the divinity operated in his humanity! Very often my Jesus interrupted my surprises, telling me, "Do you see, my daughter, with what excess of love I love the creature?" My divinity was too jealous to entrust to the creature the task of redemption, and so it made me suffer the passion. The creature had no power to make me die as many times for as many creatures which had come and were to come to the light of creation, and for as many mortal sins as they would have the disgrace to commit. The divinity wanted life, for each life of creature, and life for each death which she gave herself through mortal sin. Who could be so powerful over me as to give me so many deaths, if not my own divinity? Who would have had the strength, the love, the constancy to watch me dying so many times, if not my own divinity? The creature would have grown tired and would have given up. And do not think that this crafting of my divinity started late, but as soon as my conception was accomplished, even in the womb of my mamma, who many times was aware of my pains and was martyred, feeling death along with me. Therefore, even from the maternal womb, my divinity took on the commitment of loving executioner, but because loving, more demanding and inflexible, so much so that not a thorn was spared to my groaning humanity, not a nail. But not like the thorns, the nails, the scourges I suffered in the passion which creatures gave me, and which did not multiply. As many as they afflicted, so many remained. Rather those of my divinity multiplied at each offence, as many thorns for as many evil thoughts, as many nails for as many unworthy works, as many blows for as many pleasures, as many pains for as many different offences. They were seas of pains, thorns, nails, and innumerable blows. In the face of the passion which my divinity gave me, the passion which the creatures gave me on the last of my days was nothing but the shadow, the image of what my divinity made me suffer during the course of my life. This is why I love souls so much. They are lives that they cost me. They are pains inconceivable to created mind. Therefore enter into my divinity and see and touch with your own hand all that I suffered. I don't know how I found myself inside the Divine Immensity, which was raising thrones of justice for each creature, to which sweet Jesus had to respond for each one of their acts, suffering their pains and death, paying the penalty for everything. And Jesus, like a sweet little lamb, was killed by divine hands to rise again and to suffer more death. Oh God, what harrowing pains! Dying to rise again and rising again to suffer a yet more excruciating death. I felt I was dying in seeing my sweet Jesus being killed. Many times I would have wanted to spare just one death for the one who loves me so much. Oh, how well I understood that only the divinity could make my sweet Jesus suffer so much and could claim the merit of having loved men to folly and excess with unheard of pains and with infinite love. Neither angel nor man had this power in hand, being able to love us with such heroism of sacrifice, like a god. But who can tell everything? My poor mind was swimming in that immense sea of light, of love, and of pain, and I remained as though drowned, unable to come out. If my lovable Jesus had not drawn me into the little sea of his most holy humanity, in which the mind is not so submerged, unable to see any boundary, I could have said nothing. Then after this my sweet Jesus added, Beloved daughter, newborn of my life, come into my will. Come and see how much there is to substitute for my many acts still suspended, not yet substituted for by creatures. My will must be within you as the primary gear of a clock. If it moves, all the other gears move, and the clock signals the hours and the minutes. So all the accord is in the motion of this primary wheel. And if this first wheel has no motion, the clock is stopped. In the same way, the first wheel within you must be my will, which must give motion to your thoughts, to your heart, to your desires, to everything. And since my will is the central wheel of my being, of creation and of all things, your motion coming out from that centre will come to substitute for as many acts of creatures. multiplying in the motions of all as central motion, it will come to place before my throne on their behalf the acts of the creatures and will substitute for everything. Therefore, be attentive. Your mission is great and fully divine. End of the reading. The 4th of February, 1922, Volume 13. The souls who live in the divine will take part in the eternal activity of the divine will by going around within it. Continuing in my usual state, my sweet Jesus, on coming, told me, "My daughter, the souls who live in my will are the little wheels that rotate within the great wheel of eternity. My will is the motion and the life of the wheel of the endless eternity. As they enter into my will to pray, to love, to operate, and so on, the wheel of eternity makes them go around within its interminable circumference. And since in that wheel they find all that has been done and must be done, and all that should be done but is not done, as they rotate, they cast light and divine waves into what has been done and must be done, giving divine honour to their Creator in the name of all, and they redo what has not been done by the creatures. Oh, how beautiful it is to see a soul enter into my will. As she enters, the great wheel of eternity winds her to make her go around within its great expanse, and the little wheel does its eternal round. The winding by the great wheel puts her in communication with all the divine windings, and while she goes around, she does all that her Creator himself does. Therefore, they are as though the first and the last to be created by me, because, in going around, they find themselves at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. So they will be the crown of the whole human family, the glory, the honour, and the substitution of all, and the return to God of the whole order of things created by Him. Therefore, may your rounds be continuous in my will. I will give you the winding, and you'll be ready to receive it, won't you?" Then he added, "You have not spoken about all the rounds that the little wheel of your will does within the great wheel of eternity." And I, "How could I speak about them if I don't know?" And he, "As the soul enters into my will, even with a simple adhesion, with an abandonment, I wind her so as to make her go around. And do you know how many times she goes around? She goes around as many times for as many thinking intelligences, for as many gazes as the creatures give, for as many words as they say, for as many works as they do, and as many steps as they take. They go around at each divine act, at each motion, at each grace which descends from heaven. In sum, they form their round in anything that is done in heaven and on earth. The rounds of these little wheels are fast and rapid, so they cannot calculate them. But I count them all, first to take the glory and the eternal love that they give me, and then to fuse all the eternal good, to give them the capacity of surpassing everything, to be able to embrace every one and become crown of everything. End of the reading. The 4th of February 1922, Volume 14. Love, wandering and rejected, bursts into sobs. As I was in my usual state, my always lovable Jesus made himself seen all panting. His breath was fire, and clasping me to himself, he told me, "My daughter, I want refreshment for my flames. I want to pour my love out, but my love is rejected by creatures. You must know that in creating man I released a quantity of love from within my divinity, which was to serve as primary life of the creatures, so that they might be enriched, sustained, strengthened, and helped in all of their needs. But man rejected this love, and my love has been wandering, from the time man was created, and it keeps going round without ever stopping. Rejected by someone, it runs to someone else in order to give itself, and as it is rejected, it bursts into sobs. So lack of correspondence causes the sobbing of love. Now, while my love goes wandering and wants to give itself, if it sees someone who's weak or poor, it bursts into sobs and says to him, "Ah, you did not make me go wandering. If you'd given me a place in your heart, you would have been strong and you would have lacked nothing." If it sees someone else who's fallen into sin, it bursts into sobs. "Ah, you'd let me enter into your heart, you would not have fallen." For another one whom it sees dragged by passions, muddied with earth, love cries and sobbing it repeats to him, "Ah, if you'd taken my love, passions would not have life over you. The earth would not touch you. My love would be enough for you in everything." So, in each evil of man, small or big, love bursts into sobs and continues to go wandering in order to give itself to man. And when in the Garden of Gethsemane all sins presented themselves before my humanity, each sin carried the sob of my love. All the pains of my passion, each blow of the lash, each thorn, each wound, were accompanied by the sob of my love. Because if man had loved, no evil could have come. Lack of love made all evils, and even my very pains, germinate. In creating man, I acted like a king who, wanting to make his kingdom happy, takes 1,000,000 and makes it circulate so that whoever wants it may take from it. However, as much as it circulates, only a few take a few cents. Now the king is anxious to know whether the peoples are taking the good he wants to do for them, and he asks whether his 1,000,000 is finished so as to put out more millions. But he is answered, "Majesty, just a few cents." The king feels sorrow in hearing that his people is not receiving his goods, nor does it appreciate them. So going out into the midst of his subjects, he begins to see some covered with rags, some sick, some starving, some shivering with cold, some homeless. In his sorrow, the king bursts into sobs and says, "Ah, had they taken my money, I would see none of them dishonouring me covered with rags, but rather well dressed, nor would I see them sick, but healthy. I would see no one on an empty stomach and almost dead from starvation, but full. Had they taken my money, no one would be homeless. They could have very well built themselves a room in which to take shelter. In sum, for each misfortune he sees in his kingdom, he has a sorrow, a tear, and he cries over his 1,000,000 which the ingratitude of his people rejects. However, the goodness of this king is so great that, in spite of all this ingratitude, he does not withdraw this 1,000,000. He lets it continue to circulate, hoping that other generations may take the good which these have rejected, so that he may receive the glory of the good which he has done for his kingdom. So I do. I will not withdraw my love which has been released. It will continue to go wandering. Its sobbing will last still until it finds souls who would take this love of mine up to the last cent, so that my crying may cease and I may receive the glory of the dowry of love which I released for the good of creatures. But do you know who are the fortunate ones who will make the sobbing of my love cease? The souls who will live in my will. They will take all the love rejected by the other generations. By the power of my creative will, they will multiply it as much as they want, and for as many creatures as have rejected it. Then will my sobbing cease, and the sob of joy will take its place, and love, satisfied, will give to these fortunate ones all the goods and the happiness which the others did not want. End of the reading. The 4th of February 1934, Volume 33. love of God hidden in the Virgin. The Divine Paternity gives her the Divine Maternity and generates the human generations in her as her children. How the Divine Immensity renders all his works inseparable. My abandonment in the divine volition continues, and finding everything that had been done in it, the little atom of my soul goes around and around again in order to also give my little I love you for everything that it had done in the round of eternity for the love of all creatures. And my beloved Jesus stopped me in the waves of the interminable love of the conception of my celestial Mama. And all goodness he told me, little daughter of my volition, your I love you, for however little, wounds our love, and from these wounds that it makes us, it gives us the occasion of making our hidden love come forth, and of making it revealer of our intimate secrets, and of how much we have loved the creatures. Now you must know that we loved all mankind, but we were constrained to keep hidden in our divine being all the immense ardour of our love, because we did not find in them either the beauty that enraptured our love, or love that, wounding us, would make our love come out in order to inundate them, so as to make itself known, to love them and make itself loved. Rather, they were so absorbed in the lethargy of faults, so as to make us horrified only to look at them. But our love burned. We loved them, and we wanted to make our love reach everyone. How to do it? We must use a great invention of our love in order to reach this. And here is how. We called to life the little tiny Virgin Mary, and creating her all pure, all holy, all beautiful, all love, without original sin, and making our own divine will conceived together with her, so that between her and us there would be free access, perennial and inseparable union. Now the celestial queen enraptured us with her beauty, and our love ran, it ran. With her love she wounded us, and our love overflowing hid itself in her. Looking through her beauty and with her love for all creatures, our love poured itself out and loved all creatures with hidden love in this celestial queen. In fact, we loved everyone in her. Through her beauty, they did not seem ugly to us anymore. Our love was no longer restricted within us, but diffused into the heart of a creature so holy that communicating our divine paternity to her and loving everyone in her, she acquired the divine maternity in order to be able to love everyone as her children, offspring of her, of her celestial Father. As she felt that we loved all creatures in her, so she felt that our love formed the new generation of all mankind in her maternal heart. Can one give greater invention of love, stratagems more loving than our paternal goodness in order to love creatures and even those who offend us? To elect from this same lot a creature, to form her as beautiful as we can, such that our love would not find an obstacle in order to be able to love everyone in her, to make her love everyone? In this celestial queen, everyone can find our love hidden in her, even more because, possessing our divine will, she commanded us to make us love everyone, and we, with our sweet empire, commanded her to be the most loving of all, the most loving mother of all. True love does not know how to be without loving, and it uses all the arts. It takes the occasion of the littlest things as well as the greatest in order to love. Our love now hides itself, now reveals itself, now directly, and now in an indirect way, in order to make known that we animate with incessant love. she who we brought forth from the depth of our love. Greater gift we could not give to all the generations than giving them this incomparable creature as mother of all and as bearer of our love, hidden in her so as to feed it to all her children. After this, I continued to think about the divine will. The thought that my celestial mamma possessed in her maternal heart the hidden love with which my Creator loved me filled me with joy. And to think that I was looked at by God from within my dear celestial mamma, through her sanctity and with her enrapturing beauty. Oh, how happy I felt, and all trusting, because I would not be loved and looked at by myself any more, but loved and looked at together with my mamma. Ah, and she, in order to make me loved even more by my Jesus, will cover me with her virtues. She'll dress me with her beauty, and she'll hide my miseries and my weaknesses. But a thought wanted to afflict my joy that our Lord did this as long as the Queen of Heaven lived on earth. For when he brought her to himself in heaven, this invention of love, divine love, ended. My sweet Jesus, returning, added, My blessed daughter, our works always continue and are inseparable from us, such that our hidden love continues in the Queen of Heaven, and it will always continue. It would not be to operate as God if all that we did could separate from us and not have perennial life. Therefore we love. We pour ourselves out over creatures. It seems that our love departs from us, but no, it departs and it remains with us. And the love that pours itself over creatures is inseparable from us, and renders inseparable she who has received our love, such that all our works, heaven and earth, creatures who come forth to the light of day, it seems that they depart from us, but no, they are all inseparable from us. And this is in virtue of our immensity that envelops everything. There is no place where it is not found, and it renders everything that we do inseparable. Therefore, neither can our works be separated from us, nor we from them. One can say that they form a single body for us, and our immensity and power is like the circulation of the blood that maintains life for everything and for everyone. At the most, there can be works distinct from one another, but separable, never. So I, in hearing this, marvelling to myself, said, And yet, my love, there are the reprobates already separated from you. They too are works come forth from you. How is it, therefore, that they do not pertain to you any more? And Jesus, you are mistaken, my daughter. They do not pertain to me by way of love, but by way of justice. My immensity that envelops them has its power over them, and if they did not pertain to me, my punitive justice would not have what to punish, because as things would not pertain to me, at that instant they lose life. But if this life exists, there is one who conserves it, who justly punishes him. Therefore, in heaven, the Sovereign Lady still possesses our hidden love toward each creature. Rather, it is her greatest triumph and contentment that she feels all creatures loved by her Creator in her maternal heart, and she, acting as true mother, how many times she hides them from me in her love, in order to make them love, in her sorrows, in order to make them forgiven, in her prayers in order to make greater graces be given them. Ah, she is the covering who knows how to cover and excuse her children before the throne of our Majesty. Therefore, let yourself be covered by your celestial mamma, who will think about the needs of her daughter. End of the reading. There are no more readings today.